We'll jumpstart your day every day.
Well, healthcare stocks up big time today. Are they sensing a Brown victory and trouble for healthcare legislation? Those are pretty nice gains today. Let's ask the Fox Biz stars, Jonathan Honig, Shabani Joshi, Gary Kaltbaum, Nancy Skinner. Jonathan, what do you make of those?
Well, Neil, I think that there's no question that healthcare stocks, the economy in general, will be hurt to the extent that government is involved. But I actually think government control or government involvement in healthcare could ultimately, at least in the short term, help a lot of these stocks, because integral to so many of these proposals has been essentially handing the health insurers, yes, they've been demonized, but part of what the Democrats want to do is hand them this enormous multi-trillion-dollar, multi-decade monopoly. So I think, just like cash for clunkers and all the other stimuluses or subsidies, ironically, government control could actually help these companies that the administration has demonized so much.
Shabani?
Well, look, I don't trust the gains in the healthcare sector today, because this market is all easy come, easy go, with stocks do one thing one day and do a different thing another day. But to Jonathan's point, I do agree that change is very necessary, and there is everyone will agree that the healthcare system is totally botched up and it needs reform. But what the stocks are reacting to is the fact that these companies are going to be taxed, they're going to be forced to change, and they're going to be forced to change in ways that aren't necessarily in line with capitalistic fundamentals. They need to change on their own, and they need to change in ways that are actually more sustainable over the long term, and that's what they're reacting to today.
You know, Gary, I'm no political expert. I'm barely an economic one, truth be told. But the fact of the matter is I do have a show with my name on it, so I must be an authority. But, Gary,
you're somebody.
I got to tell you, buddy, that, and Shabani and I were talking about this during the break, everyone always gets ahead of themselves here. You know, a year ago when I was covering the inauguration, you would think Republicans had been finished and just stick a fork in them. And Democrats, it was a new generational rule. It was an FDR thing. They would be in power forever. And now, a year later, everything's changed again. And I remember when the Republicans were in power, the most arrogant bunch of people you'd meet unless you were watching CNBC. And now, I'm just saying that things change. And I'm wondering if we're getting ahead of themselves, if they're getting ahead of themselves, and these healthcare guys and investors are getting ahead of themselves.
Well, look, I think markets always move to the upside a little too much and to the downside. As far as these healthcare stocks, it just didn't start in the last week. You got to realize the drug stocks started kicking into gear when the drug companies were able to deal with the administration. And also, as soon as the rumor came out the public option was gone, you saw the HMO started to skyrocket. So there is a theme here and a thesis that's at work. Now, as far as where we end up in all this, I still find it amazing after the Democrats watch the Republicans lose everything, that they walk in and do the exact thing the Republicans did, and that is insult Americans' intelligence, and they're losing it. And I got to tell you, in November, I think they're going to be washed, and it's a quite interesting year coming up.
Nancy, then that means you have attached yourself to a party that's become a dinosaur.
Let me answer your question on healthcare stocks, okay? Before you fossilize me, Neil.
I would never do that. Though this is cable. Well, good.
Healthcare stocks, they win under all circumstances except one. Because, well, let's face it, they've been rallying for weeks. When the Senate bill passed, the stocks rose greatly because the public option was off the table. So they get this new mandate. I agree with Jonathan on this. A new mandate, not a lot of competition. That's a great deal.
You agree with Jonathan? Robbie, you know what that means.
Fox Business Alert.
You know what that means, Robbie. Yes, a Fox News Alert. Nancy Skinner and Jonathan in agreement. Finish that point.
Now, where they lose, the only case that they lose is if Brown wins, and then they force, the Democrats have enough guts to force a reconciliation, then you have 51 votes. Then they should get their cojones and put the public option back in and force it through.
We rarely use those kind of terms here, Nancy. And I always look to my side and see Shabani and she says, why do I come to this show? Why do I bother to show up? All right, when we come back, gridlock alert in the Senate. The election could cause it. So is that good for Wall Street? They always say it is, right? Maybe not.
Critical mass. It's the